Point 2 is dividing a fraction by a whole number. So with example number 1, again, we're using a model. We're not going to use just numbers yet. We got to look at some model options first. Finding 1/4 divided by 3, that's our first task here. And so we're going to use a fraction strip to start with to show 1/4. We draw a fraction strip and we break it into 4 pieces. Each one of those is going to be 1/4 in size. Our fraction happens to be 1/4, so we just need to shade one of those pieces to make the 1/4. That's step 1. Step 2 is to divide your fraction strip. Each of those pieces we need to divide into 3. So we're not actually doing the division yet, we're just setting it up to be able to do that. But we divide our fraction strip, each of these 4 pieces gets divided into 3 pieces. When you do that and you count them out, there's actually 12 new pieces here, all of the same size. So each one of those pieces is now 1/12 in size. The size of our shading area physically does not change. So if you're redrawing your fraction strip, make sure it's the same size overall as the first one, so that the shading area also remains the same size. We refer to it differently. Up here it was 1/4. Down here it takes 1, 2, 3 twelfths to cover that same space, but it is still the same amount of space. So now we're at 3/12. Now we can actually do our division. So we're dividing by 3, and we have 3/12. Well, if we have 3 of these, 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So our answer is going to be one of these, which is what's shown here. It's just one of them. So each of the 3 equal parts of 1/4, so that's up here, these spaces are worth 3/12 each. I think that's what this is saying. No, this looks like it means each of these 3 equal parts within the 1/4 is actually 1/12. I think that's what it's going for. Each of the 3 equal parts within, I'm going to change the wording here, within 1/4 is equal to 1/12. That makes it a little more clear. So, when we get to that point, we now realize that 1/4 divided by 3 is 1/12. Now you may notice that going from the original question, 1/4 divided by 3, what we're actually doing is we're multiplying the 3 and the 4 together, and you end up with a 12 in the bottom. That's just sort of a side note, things you might notice. Don't go about calculating it that way yet. In actually 6.5, we will deal with doing the actual mathematical calculations, which will get you here as well. So that's the process. Start with a whole fraction strip. Represent the fraction that you've been given. Divide each and every one of these sections by the whole number that we're dividing by. So then all of a sudden we've got more pieces that we're working with. Shade the same amount. Then divide that by the whole number to get you down to your answer. So that's the process. So you've got a show you know here. There's one on the next page as well. Please give it a go.